Three, two, and one. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I am Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool.
Sean. Today, we're going to do a pre-Thanksgiving episode right before the holiday. And we're just going to do some random stuff. You've got some stuff on hypnosis that we're going to be discussing.
Yes. So just sit back and relax.
Just sit
as
back
we
and
talk
relax.
about
Absolutely
hypnosis.
Exactly. You could hypnotize me just talking about Thanksgiving food on the menu.
Yeah, absolutely. Tamara's literally Tamara's downstairs right now doing the pre-Thanksgiving prep.
Oh, yes.
So she just made cranberry fluff. Have you ever had that?
I have not.
So cranberry fluff is like it's cranberries, but then it's got like marshmallow and cream cheese in it.
Oh.
So it's one of those dessert sides that we love in the South for Thanksgiving. It's like, yeah, it's a side. No, but it's just another dessert.
It's actually, it's like sweet potato casserole.
Yeah,
man.
with the marshmallows on top. Yeah. Okay, that's a side. We get
That's right. It's like, wait a minute. I'm having a dessert after I eat this dessert. This is fantastic.
This is a good day. Exactly.
So I get two Thanksgivings. We had a pre-Thanksgiving last weekend because my side of the family came up.
Yeah.
And and now I get a second Thanksgiving tomorrow and through the weekend. So I will have gained about 20 pounds just in the last week.
Nice. I saw you've been hitting the tonal a little bit. So.
Yes, I did. I did.
A little preemptive.
I've gotten off a little bit, but I jumped on faithfully 2 nights ago. I was hitting it hard about 10 o'clock. So
very good.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started with our beverages, I'm going to share one question that everybody should be asking. The simple question that everybody should be asking about before they do any campaigns of any kind. So we'll cover that because I've run into this several times in conversations this week with guys who are building brands. One of whom we're probably going to have on the show in a few weeks.
Good.
And I think we'll kind of learn from what he's doing on the e-com side. But also I thought we might do some hot seat stuff with him and you and I brainstorm and see if we could help him out. So that'll be coming up soon.
Okay.
And then also just to let everybody know that this episode is sponsored by the Original Craft Beer Club. So if you like beer and you like different beers and you've kind of run out of beers at your local store, the Original Craft Beer Club is a subscription beer club that you get like 12 beers a month from all over the country. They send you information about it. It's really cool. You can do gifts. You can do like a 3-month gift pack. So if there's somebody in your life that wants beer, the Original Craft Beer Club.
Perfect holiday gift. Perfect Christmas gift. It's the gift that keeps on giving even after Christmas.
You can learn more about it at persuasionbythepint.com/craft beer.
Bingo.
So
I remember this was before we started using these guys, but I did this for a couple of customers in the past who were craft beer enthusiasts. And this is like, they loved it because these are the, they get the same thing every year, like the, popcorn, from their vendors. They give them the same crap, and so I'm always trying to figure out, for my best clients out there, what's something different. And so, and it's tailored to their interest.
Right.
And this is a win-win.
Yeah. So there's still time to order before, Christmas. We'll talk about this the next few weeks, but still time before Christmas to get them. And you can do this year round, birthdays. Absolutely. So even though we're recording this right before Thanksgiving and the holidays, if you're listening to this, sometime in the future, 2358 or whatever, like maybe they'll still be around. You could probably 3D print beer at that point. I don't know.
3D print beer. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I'd be on board that.
Yeah. We'll get with Elon Musk. We'll get started on that.
That's right.
Because he doesn't have anything else going on.
No breweries needed. We just need a printer. I'm good. I love that.
That'd be cool. All right. What are you drinking over there on your end?
So speaking of, you mentioned, cranberry, which
Yeah.
I'm usually not a huge cranberry sauce guy or
Yeah.
cranberry anything guy on Thanksgiving. But I do have the New Belgium Holiday Ale. I'm going to bring this up here, which does have flavors of cranberry and spice and
Very nice.
everything nice
Yes.
for
That is,
Thanksgiving,
that's a
for
very,
actually Christmas.
it's like a throwback can too. That can looks very like
Yeah, with the
80s or
little
70s Christmas,
yeah, that's old school. That's
Yeah.
an old school design right there. They didn't care. They're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna take a page out of
Well,
holiday wrapping paper and
yeah.
ornaments.
Yeah. Good old
So
nostalgia.
that's right, which I love.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. We'll see how it tastes. I'm a little hesitant on the cranberry,
It's all right.
but we'll see.
You'll be fine.
7.5% EBV.
Okay.
And it is I don't know what the IBUs are. I don't even care. So what do you got?
I've got from our friends at
Let's take that off.
yeah, from our friends at Saloon Door.
Man,
had
look
this
at you. You always have the best looking cans.
So this is their thing is they always have a pig, like a flying pig, like when pigs fly.
Yep.
So this is their pumpkin spice. It's a Russian Imperial Stout with pumpkin spice.
Ooh.
So this is my last pumpkin.
That's
yes.
a new combination there.
Exactly. So yeah, I didn't have this last year. So give this a try. I love that the pig is holding like I don't know why he's holding a coffee cup. I guess pumpkin spice latte.
Oh yeah.
I guess maybe.
Probably so. Yeah. Pumpkin spice
But
latte.
it's called Basic Biculus. So instead of basic bitch, I guess this is basic biculus. I don't know what a biculus is. Is that the type of pig?
I have no idea.
I don't either. I have no idea.
What is that? Does that have the price on? Does that the price on?
Well, when you at HEB, like if you see a 4-pack or a 6-pack, they'll break it up for you and then price them individually, so you don't have to buy the whole pack.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, you pay a little more per can, but
sure,
you're not stuck with a whole 4-pack or 6-pack that you don't want.
So, sure.
Which for our show is perfect because I just go in there and I buy 3 or 4 different ones, and instead of buying 4 6-packs, seems like they're all 4-packs now.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, this is 11.8%.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it's very nice. Have you poured it?
I have poured it. It is very dark.
Look at that.
Look at it. You got a glass this time. A mug.
A mug.
All right. Well, let's
this says happy life.
I like it.
And I have my my wife. She's got a wine glass. I got her a wine glass that says happy wife, and my mug says happy life.
So when y'all cheers it up, it makes sense.
Bingo. Cheers.
Cheers. Okay. Now I'm getting it.
I'm not. Let me try this again here.
All right. Wow. Woo. I had to wake you up.
I had Middle Eastern food for lunch today, so I think that's really
messing
my palate up completely on this. Yeah. But
it's like eating spicy food and Mexican food with a beer. It doesn't always work. The wrong kind of beer.
Yep.
So
there may be some...
well, I'll go ahead and do mine while you think about yours. So definitely get the full like in your face Russian Imperial Stout when you sip it, that especially at 11, almost 12%. Like you kind of get that syrupy Russian Imperial Stout. And then on the back end, after it's washed down, then the pumpkin spice comes out. It says pumpkin spice latte, but I don't taste any latte. Like I think they could have put a little more milky stout taste to it. It's definitely got the spice, definitely got the Russian Imperial Stout.
Pretty sweet.
It's actually not too sweet, not as sweet as some Russian Imperial Stouts.
Yeah.
But it is sweet. I mean, you're not pounding 3 or 4 of these. Probably not even 2. It's kind of a sipping, definitely a sipping beer with the pumpkin pie. Be good. I bet it'd pair well with pumpkin pie. That would be good. So I'm going to give mine I don't love it. I think it's going to get better. It was pretty cold when I poured it. I think it'll air out a little bit. But I'm going to give it right now where it stands a 3.6 pints out of 5.
3.6. Okay. Oh man, I really am not sure what to give this one. This is I don't really like I don't know if it's the cranberry or the whatever spice. I don't know if it's cinnamon spice or what kind of spice is in here. But it's just not the aftertaste is not so great. So I'm probably gonna give this one like a 2. I'm gonna give this one a 2.7. It's drinkable, but not one that I would certainly go. I wouldn't buy this one again. Sorry, New Belgium. keep your keep your holiday ale under the tree and regift it to someone else.
There you go. It's got to be a holiday party coming up. You can drop that at the front desk or something.
Definitely be regifting this one. Nah, it's okay. It's not horrible, but it's just not what I expected. Especially at 7.5. But we'll see. I'll drink it. So
all right,
I'll drink it because it's right there in front of me. I mean,
and you got a fancy glass for it and everything.
That's right.
So
Exactly.
All right, so let's jump into the show, and we're going to talk about some hypnotic language. We're going to be talking about, kind of how to reframe marketing messages. We're going to talk about awareness, a couple other things. So yeah,
as we're getting spammed in the comments.
Oh yeah, put this up for everybody so they can see it. XXX20 fun, baby. Find your love in U City.
All right.
So is U City? Is U City like an actual city, or is it supposed to be your?
I think it meant your city.
Let me go ahead and block that user.
Yeah, we'll block that one.
Yeah, that's more of a Valentine's episode, not a Thanksgiving episode. We'll save that.
All right.
So XXX20.fun was blocked. I know some of you guys out there are like, what was that again? What was that handle again? XXX20.fun.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not sure how we got on their list, but
so we must be just killing it on YouTube that we're getting spam now. We probably doubled our views from 3 to 6 or something. All right. So you and I were both I was on the interwebs.
Yes.
I think it was Instagram, maybe it was Facebook. I don't know. Somewhere in the meta universe. And I saw this ad for a deck of hypnotic language cards.
Yep.
So literally like a deck of cards that have these little one-off like hypnotic language patterns on them. I was like, that's cool. I've always been interested in like hypnotic language and phrases and things like that. Like, can I work those into my copy? Can I work those into my coaching with people? All this stuff. And I love the fact that it was a physical product,
right?
That I could actually have and kind of leave on my desk and play with and stuff like that.
You're starting to see more. Have you noticed a trend on more of these types of? Because we were talking about some other products that were on storytelling and things like that, and I've noticed a bigger trend on going back to kind of the physical, and using a deck of cards instead of books or anything like that, which
or an ebook
makes a lot of sense.
Whatever, right? Because if I can tell you this, had this been a PDF or a cheat sheet I would not have gotten.
Sure, right. The fact that something you can hold, but yet it's easy enough to, from a reference standpoint, that you don't have to flip and find, but you just kind of, you just pull a card up and
you pull a card out and you just kind of, read through them every once in a while.
Yep.
You'll see when you got a copy too. I sent you the link and then you ended up ordering some too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. These were only $8.95 and that included shipping.
Right.
So they weren't doing the whole, is a pretty good deal. And then it's 52 cards. They actually are numbered just like a deck of cards.
Right.
But then on
it even has the ace and all the numbers.
All that stuff. So you could literally play cards with this deck. Like they're there. And then while you're deciding if you're gonna fold or go, you could use some. You could read whatever's in your hand, and you'd be like, if you want to try to psych out your poker player friend, right? You could just like read one of these.
Yeah.
But here's how it works. And these are really cool. And then we'll talk about what happened to both Jonathan and I after we ordered these. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned.
So here's one. It says, don't X too quickly. That's kind of the main theme of the card, right? Don't X. That's kind of the key phrase of that card. So this is a 7 of hearts.
Okay.
And then it has a little paragraph and it says, this is another way of putting an embedded command in a sentence. It's full of implications and presuppositions. So now this guy is literally a like a hypnotherapist and does hypno training, stage hypnosis, all that kind of stuff. So they are designed for that. You have to adapt a little bit if you want to use them for sales or marketing or things like that. But this says, so here's the example then. So it gives a little bit of a paragraph, and then the colored part there,
don't fall into a trance. That's all. It's okay.
So it says, don't fall into a trance too quickly, and don't relax every nerve too quickly. So I don't know how to use that one because I haven't taken the course yet. So that's probably not a great example. Let me see. Pick a number or a card. Like give me a number. Jack of. Yeah. I don't know if I can find it that quick, but let's see. Jack, Queen, Jack. Here's the one. All right. So this is a Jack of clubs. So every time you then. Okay. So it says another cause and effect language pattern. It connects specific behavior with something that has to happen. Every time means there are no exceptions, which is very useful. So it's like, the example here is every time. And remember, these are like putting people in trances, putting people in hypnosis. So then this one I think we can back up, Jonathan, and how we might use it in a sales situation. So every time you think of that old problem, then you'll feel a sense of humor and relief that it's gone. So I could see, Jonathan, how you might use this in your stuff. Like every time you think of that old supplier, then you'll feel a sense of humor and relief that it's gone, and you're working with us.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that's right as a hypnotic command as well.
Yeah. That's right.
That's one.
No, that's good because you're planning images, and every time you think of that
old problem, or that old problem, or that old
associate the supplier with the
right. Yeah, so
misery of the problem.
And the key to these is to make them conversational. So you're in a conversation, you're close. So this is kind of like assuming the sale, right? So it's like, Jonathan, every time you think of that, I'm really excited for you because every time you think of that old supplier, then you're going to feel this sense of kind of humor and relief that they're gone, and you're working with us.
Absolutely. Well, you could use this in sales copy too.
For sure. And then you can kind of play with it a little bit. So it's a whole, literally 52 different commands and phrasings that you could use. Cause and effect. There's just all kinds of cool phrases. And like I said, some of them are very hypnotic, obvious that you're kind of doing that, but others could certainly be adapted.
Sure.
So that's the language cards, the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy language cards, and they're kind of to help you learn different hypnotic things. But like any good marketer, once we bought this, there was an upsell at the other side.
Bingo.
Of the
that's
cards.
That's the real lesson in all of this.
The lesson here, right? Cards are fun.
Forget the cards. Both of us fell into their little funnel, their little trap.
Yes, right.
Because what did they do? They sold a product which was like hypnosis, and they did a really good job. Because you sent me the link, they did a good job. Once I read it, they did a good job, and then you're just like $8, right? $8. I mean, it's
Yeah,
like,
why not?
that's a no. Why not? I mean, what do you have to lose? So you jump in that, but it's interesting. They upsell you on a much higher price product, which
Yeah,
is their course, you know.
right. Or their membership.
No, I mean, not super higher price. I mean, but it's compared to the $8, it's
Yeah,
higher. It's
so
much higher.
the upsell I saw was to a membership, kind of
Yep.
their academy,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually only $47 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a 14-day trial, and then it's 47 a month after that.
Right.
And what's cool is when they talked about the academy, you get all this hypnosis training in it, and you can even get a certification, which
Yeah.
makes it far cheaper than most of the other hypnosis certification courses out there,
Right.
depending on how long, of course, it took you
Yep.
to go through the material. And there's some bonuses and some other things, but yeah, it was a pretty no brainer for me to go from 895 to 47. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure if I would have gone straight to 47 had that been the ad.
Yeah.
Even with a 14-day trial.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something about that when you can get people to open their wallet the first time, they're kind of already in buying mode.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's buying frenzy, I think, is what Dan Kennedy calls it.
Right. Yeah. You're in their pinball machine, so to speak. So you're kind of you're moving them along in your little pinball machine,
Yep.
and you've given them the low barrier of entry so that anybody, most people are like, okay, that's interesting. If I'm interested in hypnosis or persuasion, marketing, copywriting, anything like that, this is, I mean, I'm curious, how did you stumble across it? I mean,
it was just a Facebook ad for me.
Facebook ad. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
they got you with a Facebook ad.
yeah. So I'm sure the targeting, I'm
Sure.
certainly in that world where we like that kind of stuff. So it makes sense that I would be targeted.
Right.
So yeah, went to the site, ordered the cards, after probably a day, we're not immediately, but pretty quick. And then, immediately upgraded to the membership.
Yep.
At least
And
give
you're
it a
on their
try.
list, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're on their list now
And
too.
I have
So
my
we're gonna
physical
get
address.
right.
And this
Exactly.
is something I think a lot of I was talking to somebody yesterday who's building a brand. When you can sell something physical to somebody and you have a shipping address, now you can do, and we've talked about this before, but you can send follow-up letters, even if they unsubscribe from your email list.
Yeah.
You still have their physical address that you can send them a letter in the mail.
Absolutely.
To invite them to
Mhm.
a 3-day seminar or a new course that you just rolled out or another
Right.
deck of cards that,
Right.
maybe has a little bit different slant to it.
Yeah.
So that's a very valuable asset. And,
It is.
if you use that method of going 895, you have buyers on your list, not just freebie seekers.
That's right.
These are people who
Exactly.
bought.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference, even at $8, the difference between a buyer and a non-buyer over lifetime value is huge. Like it's buyers buy, freebie seekers look for freebies.
Sure.
That's just
exactly.
It's just the way it is.
Yep.
So to be able to start out with a buyer is a huge, huge deal.
Yeah.
I've gone through about 10 of the videos, so far. I think I've had it's probably been 5 or 6 days. So I've got another 10 days or so to try it out. But yeah, it's pretty good. He's pretty good at what he does and very casual. So yeah, I'm excited to learn more. So for those of you that are interested, it's Mike Mendel Hypnosis Academy. I don't have a link. We don't have an affiliate link or anything, but you can look it up.
And how, I wonder, I mean, from an expense standpoint, sending out something that obviously would have been, like you said earlier, you can't, they could have put a PDF together. We neither one of us would have bought that, right?
Yeah.
The fact that they put it in physical format, probably from their standpoint, from an expense standpoint, doesn't cost them a whole lot of money for a deck of cards to have.
I bet this deck of cards, mass printed, is probably $2 or $3.
Right.
And so they're at $8.95. They're probably covering their card and their shipping cost.
Right.
Now they're not covering their ad cost for acquisition.
Yeah.
But the upsells should be covering
that. And in the meantime, they're using a physical product to gain your physical address.
Yeah.
And that's one thing you can't unsubscribe to unless you're unless you're moving, right? I mean, most people, Don't just up and move to unsubscribe to get off a list. You can't. People don't do that. But
yeah, I mean, you can get off people's mail list, but it's a lot more hassle.
Yeah,
and most people don't even think to do it because it's not like it's showing up every day.
Right. Exactly.
And now
the fact that you bought something, I mean, there's the likelihood that you're going to take action to get off that list is pretty low. But people ignore emails. People may unsubscribe just because their inbox, they're getting hit all the time. But physical, like we talk about physical mail, direct mail is, people want that nowadays. When everything's been digital.
Well, especially this time of year to kind of have physical products. People are in shopping mode right now, and you don't want to go in a store and walk out with a membership. You want to walk out with a thing,
absolutely,
that you can wrap. So it's kind of the same thing online. It's like, what did I just buy? It's it's digital. Oh, where did I put that? Like, but now this is on my desk. It also reminds me to go check in on the membership.
Sure.
Because they're out.
Yeah.
But I think overall it's just a cool little trinket. And I remember at Funnel Hacking Live, one of the speakers, I just lost his name, Perry Belcher, he talked about exactly that, like doing more physical products to send people. Like if you're going to do a cheat sheet, laminate it and send it in the mail.
Right. Yep.
Instead of just doing a PDF. You can still give them the PDF, but also send them something in the mail.
Right.
That, cost you $1.50 to make. You sell it
because they won't for one thing, they won't forget about it. I mean, digital stuff gets buried, on your
I have every intention
laptop.
A lot of times to go look at a PDF I download.
Yeah.
I even try to open it up once I download it and kind of leave it in a tab or wherever. But then if something happens, the tabs get closed, then I just totally forget about it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I mean, I've got hundreds of PDFs that have downloaded, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should read that sometime. So
probably won't, but I should.
Yeah. So these are much better. They're physical. They're tactical. That you can actually touch them and feel them.
Oh,
so it makes it fun to get.
I keep I use my phone for calendars and stuff, but I still keep a notebook planner with me that has a little slide pocket in it. Yeah. And even like I will, I'm still one of those guys that will take, information from a book or something that I've read. And if it's really super important that I never want to forget, I will make I've got 3x5 note cards that I will write out these things on note cards.
Yeah.
And keep them in. If it's something that really is important, like like a list of bullet points that I don't need to forget, or if it's maybe a script or something that I want to use, or just something that I need to remember, I'll write these little things on note cards, and I'll have all of these little 3x5 note cards that I've written, printed. I usually don't. My cursive writing sucks. It's terrible. So I'll usually just print these out. But yeah, man, I love stuff like that. I love reference stuff like that you can just pull up and access it on the go. So
yep, same here. So all right, well, let's move into number 2, which is this has to do with like, how do you write, what type of lead or what type of hook do you use in your sales pages, things like that. And I've been talking with a couple of people who are kind of getting their e-commerce brands going, and they all kind of seem to be stuck or not understand this. So it's been on my mind a bit this week.
Right.
Before we move on, we got a comment from Tesh.
Yep.
If you get their physical address, would you opt to send them mail, or would you still go digital like email? Tesh, I would do both. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So their physical address is less crowded than email, for sure.
Right.
So if you can send a letter in the mail, you could send a physical product in the mail, anything like that. So yeah, I would send them snail mail, and I would still continue to hit them with email. And you can make the two work together. You could send an email saying, hey, sending you a surprise to your mailbox, should be there within 7 days. And then it kind of builds some anticipation as well. So great question, Tash. Feel free to keep
and you can
coming.
send, you don't have to send, our friend that we had on recently, who does a little 1-page newsletter every month. I still get his newsletters. He sends it to me. Now his name will come to me in just a second, because we had him on a few episodes back, but he he sends it in. Sometimes he'll put it. It seems like every month so far that I've gotten something from him, he puts it in a different envelope. But it's a 1-page, so it's the postage is nothing. It costs him very little to send.
Yeah, I mean, you figure a 1-page envelope, 1 to 2 pages, stamp.
Yes.
Even if you print it out at home, depending on how big your list is and things like that. Like, I mean, you're talking $1.50 maybe.
Yep.
Most.
Yep.
And when you consider an ad to get back in front of somebody could easily cost $2 or $3 as well.
Right.
That's really not that much. Mail is now about the same or less expensive than some of the online places that you can get it. Were you talking about Matthew Shoop? Is that who?
No, I was Kevin Donlin, who we had on.
Oh, Kevin, yes.
That's $2.78. Where, he prints up a nice little like 1-page back, back both sides. And it's nothing special, but it's really good. It's so old school that it's actually very attractive to read it. Because it's not like there's not a ton of graphics on there. It's kind of Dan Kennedy-esque, where it's just print. But it's really good. I like every time I get it, and he has something good to say, so I'm going to read it. But the fact that he sends it physically, I actually, it increases my interest to read it more than if he sent it, just email. There's very few people that I anymore that I'll read. Ben Settle's one of those that I still love to read his his stuff that he sends out every time, his emails. But there's not many people like that I would. But Kevin's one of those, and we stumbled upon him, and he's a great guest. But you can listen to that interview at on episode 278. But he's got good stuff. He writes well. So
you could even take, like, if you're already doing a weekly email, if you were to implement this strategy where you get something physical sent to them, then you could take your same weekly email and turn it into a print newsletter.
Easy.
That you just send out. So it's not like you have to make something separate. You just have to.
That's right.
Put it in a new format.
Repurpose it. Man, repurpose. Anything that you write or record, or record, transcribe it, and send it. It's so crazy. I mean, you could send out nowadays you get a bundle of USB, USB drives for nothing, and just put a recording or something on that and send it out.
Tons of ways. And Tash said, why do you think Ben Settle sends out physical newsletters? I assume, I don't know if you're asking that question or if you're just stating that, yes, he still does that. So I'm not sure. But Ben Settle still sends out his monthly newsletter because it makes him stand out. When you get that newsletter, you sit down and read it. Like, it's not like a site where you've got 16 browsers open, tabs, open, and you're competing with all that stuff, notifications, everything else. Like, stating. So, all right, well, let's move on to kind of what's the one question, the simple question that you need to be asking before you start writing.
Ooh, that's good.
And this kind of comes from, so this is coming from the book Great Leads, but this section of it is actually coming from Eugene Schwartz and Breakthrough Advertising, which we covered in depth on, first 20 or so episodes of this podcast. If you go back, our friend Brian Kurtz has the rights to that book. He still sells that book. You can get it. So if you do a search for like Breakthrough Advertising and Brian Kurtz, I think that'll come up. You can get that there. So here's the question. What does my customer already know?
What does my customer already know?
A lot of people will jump into writing ads or writing sales pages thinking that kind of all people out there that they're trying to target are at the same place in the customer journey, and they're not. So there's a scale. If you go from left to right, and you put on the left is most aware, people like know who you are. They know what you have to offer. So this would be like us, Jonathan, we know exactly what Ben Settle has. We know what he has to offer. So if he throws anything out, like we're probably, maybe you buy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't need much convincing. You already like him. You already like his products and service, different things. So you probably grab it.
Yeah.
But then as you move and get from, some people would call that like hot traffic or warm traffic.
Mm-hmm.
But then as you move to the right along this scale, this continuum, there's some people that are product aware, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe they're aware of your particular product, but then you go a little further to the right on that scale, and maybe they're just solution aware. So they know they need a product like yours, but maybe they don't know about your product. So that's going to require a different approach than if they know about your product, they just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Right. Yeah.
And then continuing down the right side of this is problem aware. Like, I'm not even sure I don't know what the solution is, but I do know I have this problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not making enough sales, or I've got back pain, or my golf swing sucks, or like whatever it is, right? I know I've got a problem. I just don't know what the solution is. So that's even a different type of ad or sales letter. Mm-hmm. And there's people that are completely unaware. They don't even realize they have a problem yet.
Yeah.
Like, they think 120 on the golf course is just fine because everybody they play with shoots 120. They don't realize that you can shoot 75 or 80 or whatever. I'm talking about myself on that one.
I think most people are aware that 120 is not very good.
No, man. No. It's when you first pick up golf, you're like, oh, 8 strokes. That's pretty good on that hole. Not bad.
Yeah.
But you get the point. Like, you may not be aware that you have a problem until the problem's brought out. Right. So then the question is, well, what do you do with that information? So you have to ask, like, where is the people that I'm trying to get with this particular campaign that I'm about to sit down and write? Who am I targeting along that spectrum? Am I going after people that already know about me? If so, that can be very direct. But if I'm going with people who they're not aware of the problem, they're not aware of that a solution exists, they're just completely unaware, then that requires an entirely different type of sales letter, different type of copy, different landing page, everything.
Yeah. Yep.
So that spectrum is, and I just real quick, we'll cover this and then we can jump into whatever direction. Okay. So if you start on the left side, these people are most aware. We'll use Apple too as an example, right? Because you and I are both Apple users. Yep. So most aware, you can be very direct and you can just make an offer. Yep. MacBooks are $200 off this Friday, right? You see a lot of this for Black Friday because people are on lists already. So they're just making a better offer to the people that are already on their list. So they're very offer based, like save 25%, save 50%, get, 75% off. So it's very offer based because the people on their list already know about them.
Sure.
Or they are familiar enough with the products that they can make a decision when they see it.
Right.
But then as you move down, you go from offer to promise. So you make some type of promise that this will cut, 3 slices or cut 3 slices off your golf game, cut 3 strokes off your golf game or 10 strokes off your golf game, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a promise. And then as you move, there's problem solution leads where you talk about the problem and then you offer a solution. So instead of just making a direct promise, lower your golf score by 10 strokes, that's a promise. A problem solution would be slightly different where it'd be like, are you struggling to keep up with your buddies while playing golf? Right.
Yeah.
So your buddy's always outscoring you on golf, something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Here's the right. So now we're agitating the problem a little bit because they're not quite as aware of who we are and what we're doing.
Right. And
then you also offer the solution. Well, here's the driver that'll solve all your problems. And then you move even further where people are they kind of sense there's a solution out there and they know they've got a problem, but they haven't figured out what the best solution for them is. Then what works well there is like secret leads.
Yeah.
Like this is the classic John Carlton, one-legged golfer, drives the ball 6,000 miles, whatever. Like that ad is a secret, right? What does this guy know that he can hit better than me on one leg? Like,
sure. Yeah.
that's a secret lead. And that pulls people in. But you wouldn't need that if they already know about your product.
Mm-hmm.
They're just looking for a good deal, right?
Right. Right.
Like you don't need to go that in depth. And this is where I see a lot of people, they'll read something about copywriting, they'll read something about a secret lead,
Mm-hmm.
and then they send that to their warm audience. It's just too much. Like people don't have time to read that at that stage where they're at.
Sure.
But if you put that on coming off of a Facebook ad, probably do really well.
Yeah.
So you have to know.
You have to know where your audience is
on that journey.
Yeah. At what stage they are. Yeah. That's good.
And then the last two are, as you move problem aware and completely unaware, are proclamation leads. So these are like, this stock set to soar in February 2023.
Sure.
Right. That's like a proclamation, or, anytime you're making a prediction, it's also called a prediction lead. Mm-hmm. And then the last one on the very, very far end, if they're totally unaware, is a story lead. So this is where you wake up in the morning, you didn't even know you needed something. You didn't even know you had a problem. You're just going about your day. And then next thing you know, there's a story that catches your eye on an ad.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, you're like reading the story, you kind of relate. And then all of a sudden, End of America Tash is a great example. That was a proclamation lead.
Yep.
Prediction lead for sure. The classic story lead is they laughed, They laughed when I sat down to play the piano or something, whatever it is. They laughed when I said I could play the piano.
Yep.
That's a classic story lead. The Wall Street Journal letter we've talked about, story lead.
Yep.
No, because you don't wake up thinking, I need to go subscribe to the Wall Street Journal today. Like most people don't.
Yeah.
Unless you're already in that world.
Right.
But if you're just working at a company, middle management, upper management, you've never subscribed to anything like that. And then you come across a letter like that. It's like, oh, here's these two guys, and one's super successful, one's not. It's like, oh, maybe I need the Wall Street Journal by the time you get to the end. So that's the difference. And it's very nuanced. And this is where a good copywriter can help you kind of go through this process and help you understand this. But here's the other thing, like and I see this a lot with launching, because people launch to their warm market and they get a pretty good result because people know them. They already trust them. They kind of know what they're up to. They followed the journey. And then they try to scale and it doesn't scale.
Right.
Because they're trying to use the same offer-based or promise-based to people that don't even know anything about
they're
this.
Not familiar.
Yeah.
They don't know either. Yeah.
You got to pull them in and suck them in with a good story or promise or secret or whatever they are on the thing. So if you want to know more about that, the book,
that's good.
The book Breakthrough Advertising is great. It's a textbook though. Like you don't just sit down
you can't just read through it and just take a few notes. I mean, that's one of those things you go back through again and again.
Yeah, you got to study it. If you want a simpler version, then this book, Great Leads.
Oh, I was just reading that. Michael, is that Michael Masterson? Yeah.
Michael Masterson,
I was just reading that. Yep.
And this is a really good synopsis of that part of the copy process.
Yep.
It's called Great Leads. It's Michael Masterson and John Ford, both who worked at Agora, and have written hundreds of millions of dollars worth of ads.
Yep. A great example of, Sean, of what you were just talking about is, I think I've mentioned in the past, there's a local company that does this really well, AquaClear Solutions. You've talked about,
David Brewster.
Yeah, David Brewster. So his latest one, I've told you, I've mentioned the show in the past about one of his, talking about, kidney stones, obviously as a result, most people don't think about hard water, right?
Yeah. They're not
hard water is not something you're just driving around and you're concerned about hard water.
Yeah. You're not waking up in the morning thinking, you take a shower, you're like, man, this water sure is hard.
That's right.
Like, you just don't, most people don't think like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't even know what hard water really is, but they do know what kidney stones are. And they might know of someone who's had a kidney stone. They may not have had one, But I'm going to tell you, if you've known someone that's had one, it is god awful pain, and they will tell you, and they've shared their experience.
And they will do
Well,
anything to prevent that from happening again.
absolutely. Yep, exactly. Because they don't want to go through. I mean, it's a pain to go through all of the treatment, because there's surgery, there's different ways to remove them, there's ultrasound or whatever to break them up. But ultimately, you don't want to be there.
Right.
And anybody that's ever had them will tell you that you don't want to be there in the first place. So when they hear an ad like that, it resonates. So they're not thinking about hard water, but they are thinking about, damn, I don't want a kidney stone. Well, his latest is, especially this time of year with hard water, is dry, scaly skin. So, you're sleeping next to your spouse, and you cuddle up next to her, under the covers, during these cold winter months.
Yeah.
And you rub up next to her leg, and she or he, okay, I'm not, either way, can be dry, scaly skin. You're just like, cuddling up next to a snake. And so he uses that in his radio copy. I think he's very good. I mean, I noticed his latest ad. I guess it was last week when I first heard it, and I was like, well, that's pretty good. That's really good. But again, going back to I'm not thinking about hard water. I could care less about hard water, but yes, the dry, scaly skin.
Yes, especially this time of year. It's like, oh yeah, I have noticed my skin's looking a little chalky, a little, little scaly.
Yep.
Huh. Interesting. So tapping into kind of what's going on in the moment. Obviously, kidney stones are not in the moment unless you're going through it.
Right.
Or like you said, have known somebody. And I know his market too, because you do need a little bit of disposable income to buy his systems.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
Right.
So, he's probably targeting that 40 plus crowd. So these types of things are more and more in their world, in their realm of awareness.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like when we say somebody's unaware, they're unaware of your stuff, but they may be, you got to find out what they are aware of and then walk them from that all the way back to your product and how your product can help with that thing that they are aware of.
Right.
And a lot of people think they got to pull that out of their product, and you don't. You just have to link your product to this other thing over here. There's always a way to do that.
Well, here's another great example. So, I picked up my, as every good marketer should do, they should be picking up their copy of the Inquirer.
Yes.
So you can talk about senile Biden's impeachment crisis.
Yes.
But no, ultimately, if you flip through, you get some really good, great headline copy. But you also find out, here's little tidbits that you find out, is that cholesterol pills fight prostate cancer. Did you know that? Did you know that, Sean?
I did not know that.
Well, I didn't know it either until I opened.
So is that an actual advertisement?
It's not an ad. It's not an ad. This is under their Health Watch section.
Oh, okay.
Which every National Enquirer is the Health Watch. They also have coffee gives underneath that. Coffee gives hearts a healthy jolt. Now, we've heard stuff about that, but they go into detail, and that's not. I mean, that's actually an article.
Like a lot of these magazines will do articles, and then near there they'll have an ad that matches.
That's right. Yeah.
Do they do that, or they?
No, there's no advertising whatsoever. But I am curious, like, who this doctor is and where they get this information. But the bottom line is, as a marketer, this is stuff like, if I'm a coffee, if I'm marketing as a coffee, I'm taking gives hearts a healthy jolt.
Yeah.
Regardless of what this says to coffee in general, I'm going to use it. It's kind of like going back to the the beer with the Schlitz, or the what was the famous
with the purified water.
Purified water. Yeah, the process, which every beer company did that, but yet they say we all do that. But who cares? I mean, he's the one that accentuated it and highlighted it in his advertising.
Yes.
So if I were a coffee company, what would I do? I would be talking about the benefits of my coffee with, how it benefits you health wise, gives you a healthy heart,
Yep.
even though this says every,
Yeah. So
every brand of coffee does that. Who cares? But no one's talking about it. So
very few people are talking about it. Exactly. A few people have talked about antioxidants in coffee and some of that stuff, but yeah, to find those different angles. This is funny. I'm not going to give the example because he hasn't started using it yet, and I don't know who else is listening to the show. So I don't want to ruin his first mover advantage in this, but he had a product and I came up with an angle in like just a few minutes. It's like, it's hard to talk about this without actually saying it, but, there was totally nothing he had thought of, but it was a very specific problem that his product solved, that he never even thought of. But it took me about 10 seconds of Googling to find a problem that we could link to. It's just not that hard if you start thinking about this stuff and just start fishing around for angles and things like that. It's really not that hard once you get in the practice of it. And once he starts using that ad, so yeah, Tash, that's a great question. Yeah, it's definitely research. So,
which is the majority of what you do as a copywriter. I know copywriter. I mean, that's
sales, right?
I mean, majority of the work in sales and in copywriting is in research. Very little is in the presentation.
Yeah.
Or in the actual writing or the presentation.
Well, that's like 20%. If you do your research well, the writing almost takes care of itself because you'll find that one big thing to like jump off on, right?
Yep. Exactly.
It'll stand out. Like when you see it, like you'll know, like, oh, that's what I'm leading with.
That's right.
And then the rest of the letter kind of flows from there, or the page or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm trying to think, Tash, like, if I was thinking of a topic that I wanted to sell something, like how I might research it, I just can't think of a particular product right now, but I would literally just go on Google and I would start researching around that idea. Like Jonathan just said with the Schlitz beer, a lot of times it's hidden in the process of making a product, or the process of, if it's a non-tangible product, it may be in the process of your program or whatever you're using.
Yeah.
It can be in the story of why it was created. There's maybe a story there about why it was created, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you can do a little research there. But if you want to get like that third party kind of disassociated thing, it's just poking around a little bit. So,
sure.
I've written these in the past for a lot of supplement companies and things like that. You can just do a research, just kind of do general research on that product. That's the great thing about Google now. It's like all the information is out there. Like it's so easy to find, and you can find just about any angle you want to take. There's supporting evidence for that angle. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I don't know.
You can type in like whatever you hope to your own angle, and you can find evidence to support your own.
That's exactly what I do when I write. I will put a placeholder. I'm typing along and I'm like, "Ooh, this would be great for if this had a statistic about this."
Sure. Yeah.
So I'll just type in, find a statistic that says this.
Yep.
Highlight it green, so I know to come back to it, and I keep writing, as if I've already found that, but I don't go look for it just yet.
Sure. Because you're in the moment.
I'm kind of in the flow, getting my first draft down, and then I'll go back and find the actual statistic, and a lot of times it's as good or better than I thought.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I'll just adjust the copy around it once I get the stat or the quote or whatever it is in there. But it's so funny. Like you can just know that it's out there because it probably is.
Most likely.
Like if I want to sell steaks, I can find all kinds of research for steaks, and I can find all kinds of research against steaks.
Against it, yeah, exactly.
So whether I'm
always something that's going to support you,
yeah. So it's pretty easy to find, and you can find multiple sources.
Yeah.
So it's fun, and it's kind of fun. Like when you start thinking like that and doing the brainstorming, and to me, that's the funnest part of copy is like digging around and doing the research to find that hook. Because when you find it, it's like eureka. It's like finding gold. It's like,
oh, absolutely.
because when you see it, you know it.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. So Tesh said, for supplements, you can highlight an ingredient nobody else is talking about, find a benefit about it. And yeah, absolutely. That's what I do all the time.
Yep.
Or Tesh, what you can do is you can actually create, let's say somebody hires you and they want you to write about, an eyesight supplement. And you look across the market and everybody's got the same 3 ingredients or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You could also go to your client and say, look, I was just doing some research on eyesight nutrients. I noticed that everybody has the same 3, but if you just added this, it would give us this whole new angle to talk about. And a lot of supplement manufacturers can easily add an ingredient in the next batch or whatever. And it makes that product just different enough. So you could either talk about one thing or one benefit within the current makeup that's nobody's talking about, or you can just even add a thing like,
sure,
yes, it'll help you with eyesight, but it also helps you with, blank, whatever, dry eye. By adding this one extra ingredient, we kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So that's another way to go about it for sure. So yeah, it is all about research, and we should probably do an episode on research at some point and do some live research.
It's just like look at this. I'm going to read this on this. Coffee gives hearts a healthy jolt. All coffee types were linked to a reduction in premature death from any cause of reduced cardiovascular problems. But the greatest risk drop for both was connected to consuming 2 or 3 cups a day over none. Coffee contains over 100 biologically active components. So what would I would take this, and even though this is related to every coffee, I mean, not every coffee company out there or coffee brand out there would be highlighting this.
Yeah, most one. I mean, you could take
it'd be
10
like
of those.
Heart healthy coffee. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'd be
heart
going
healthy benefits to this coffee.
Yeah, I would. Right? I would love to like. So what I would do with that is I would immediately go to Google and I would start looking up what are these 100 different biological things.
That's right. Yeah.
Because if they found that to write the article, then that's a list out there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go in, I'm going to dive deeper into that list, and I'm going to look for like the top 10 most interesting things.
Absolutely.
And you could write an advertorial. You could say 10 things you didn't know about coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you leave it like that, because like, oh, is it good or is it bad? Like,
right.
I got to read this because I drink coffee every day.
Right.
So you could find 100. If you could find that list of the 100 things, I'm going to look for it real quick. Here, I'm going to share my screen while I do it.
Yeah, 100 biologically active components of coffee.
Screen. Window. Share. All right, so what was it? 100.
Let's see. It says coffee contains over 100 biologically active components.
There it is. So this is great because it's a NCBI is very,
it's a .gov article.
It's a .gov article. It's a research article. Here's another one, a detailed chemistry of coffee, compounds in coffee, coffeeandhealth.org. They've probably done the bioactive components of coffee. So what I look for is I look for a couple things. I look for names that they would sound good if I name dropped them. So ScienceDirect.com sounds very authoritative, right? Whether it is or isn't, doesn't really matter.
No, yeah. The fact that it's ScienceDirect.com, who knows? Could be.
Yeah, it could be totally off. So, so I click on that one. And what I would do is I would have a Google Doc open and I would just be dropping these links in so I can come back and find them later. But bioactive compounds, content in roasted coffee from traditional and modern, blah, blah, blah. So then this is the hard part. You have to kind of go in and like scan through the journal stuff.
Yep.
And you'd have to dig in and start clicking on some links and figure that out. So
yeah.
And I'm looking for one quote out of the entire document that I can use and say, according to ScienceDirect.com.
Well, I'm looking at that impact of coffee there. I mean, that article below,
Yeah.
and it's selective, like that should give me some indication of the benefits.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff here. Like coffee is one of the most popular beverages worldwide. Coffee contains bioactive compounds that affect.
Yeah.
Like, what is caffeic acid? Like, I've never heard anybody say that about coffee. Like, what is that?
Right.
Right. We've all heard of caffeine. Like everybody
Yeah.
knows about caffeine. But what is this? What are these? What is
Mhm.
like all of these? Like I've heard a little bit about terpenes,
Mhm.
but not much. Melanoids, like all this stuff could be its own, each one of these could be its own little deep dive into research that you could pull out. Let's see what else it says. Some of them have
Look at what
demonstrated,
it says down below.
yeah,
The cancer combating compounds.
yeah, potential anti-carcinogenic
Yeah.
effects.
Yep.
May play a protective role against colorectal cancer.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
if you know you're marketing to men over 50,
Right.
this is a big benefit of coffee,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And you could say something like why men over 50 should never give up their morning coffee.
That's right.
He's like, oh, I got to read
Or
that.
their evening beer.
Yeah. 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 So I would just dive into this and I'd start figuring out what some of these terms are. And I may
Yeah.
spend, an hour or 2 hours combing through this and hitting all these links.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Every one of
mean, and
these
there's
links.
references. I mean, you see these as you hover over some of these, these reference, because this is research. I mean, anything in a .gov is obviously it's research related information. So you can use a lot of that.
Yeah. So here's something about metabolism and coffee consumption, right? You can just
Mhm.
hover over some of these and see kind of what they're talking about, decide
Mhm.
if you want to go deeper. I mean, this one article, so think about the chain of events, and this is what good copywriters do. You got a habit, you're in sales, you're writing copy, you own a brand. So you pick up the National Enquirer every time you're at the store.
Mhm.
You hide it under the eggs or something so nobody sees you buying it. And like
when I picked this up at the grocery store, I flipped it on. I did. I flipped the front
face
cover
down.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
face
course.
down. I didn't want
Yeah, nobody buys the Enquirer. It's just the best
no,
selling newspaper in
exactly.
the world. But nobody buys it.
Yep.
So yeah, then you read that article, you've kind of flipped through it, and then when you come across a product, you're like, "Oh yeah, I remember that article about the coffee.
Yep.
Something about 100 compounds."
You're
And you
right.
do that Google search, and then next thing you
Mhm.
know, you're on this page. I mean, look, we've got images.
Yeah, that's
Like,
a chemical chain right there. I mean, the
yeah, so here's
chemistry change.
caffeine, but did you
Yeah.
know about caffeic acid?
Mhm.
And you could take just that, right? You could say, now we just open up a new browser.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
say, what is, or let's do even more specific, right? Benefits of caffeic acid.
Acid. Yeah. Look at that. Reduce inflammation, prevent
So this
cancer, prevent diabetes, premature aging. Yeah.
Parkinson's,
Yeah.
reduce exercise related fatigue. So, I mean, you got a full range of people you could target with this information here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I will tell you, Healthline has some of the best articles like this. If you put benefits of, and it's anything like
Mhm.
supplement, food, they have an
Right.
article on it.
Right.
They own the
Oh, yeah.
supplement space and the vitamins and minerals space. Healthline
Mhm.
has, I mean, I've copied so many of their articles and like reworded them and taken
Mhm.
pulls out. Like it's amazing.
Yep.
But yeah, so right, we saw this one term that we had not seen before.
Yeah.
These here. And so now, like, what is this? What is actually I don't even have to copy. I can
Try
just
trigonline. Trigonline.
try
Trigonline.
search Google for trigonline.
Yeah.
An alkaloid with chemical formula formed by the methyl. So let me just do now. I'll go up here and I'll do benefits of.
Mhm. Yeah.
Help if I could spell. So you don't have to spell to be a copywriter.
That's right. See, you're getting an in-depth, some in-depth behind the scenes research of a copywriter.
Yeah. So look, look at all these benefits: hypoglycemic, neuroprotective, memory improving, antibacterial, antiviral, anti-tumor. Like, that's a lot for one little chemical to do, right?
Right.
And you could, so this would be fun. So right now we take, so here's the, I thought there would be a try, whatever that one was, try whatever. I thought there might be a chemical thing.
Yep.
Well, here's the caffeic acid.
Yep.
So you could do, I could see like a site or a video sales letter where it's like, you're probably familiar with this molecule, caffeine, and you show the molecule. Right. And say, but do you know about this molecule? And it's different shaped, and maybe you don't name it right out front. And then you talk about all the stuff that caffeic acid can do without naming it.
Right.
And you say, you know, this molecule could help you reduce inflammation. It's been shown in some studies to help prevent cancer. You got to be careful with that one because, you know, you don't want the FDA on you.
Right.
And all these things.
And Facebook will, you won't get an ad on Facebook or any of these platforms.
Yeah, so you have to be careful how you use this, but you can definitely use it. So where would you find all this? You would find this in our coffee, right? Yeah. You don't have to. You don't have to say that it's in all coffee. You can say it's in our coffee,
right?
Because we use fair trade, mold-free coffee. All these components are active in our coffee,
right?
And I could probably find something. You know, if I did a little more digging, I could probably find some proof that says, you know, due to some roasting processes, it burns out certain parts of these compounds.
Yes.
I don't know if that's true, but it's a question that rolls up in my head, and I would do a little research, see if I can find anything.
Yeah.
If not, no big deal. I would just, you know, kind of like the Schlitz beers. Like, well, nobody else is talking about this, so I'll just talk about it as if I'm the only beer that does, or I'm the only coffee that does it. That's what Schlitz did, right? They didn't say everybody does this. They just said we do this.
And we do this.
And then everybody else.
And then their competition said, yeah, but that's what we all do. And they say, well, guess what? You didn't say it.
Right.
We did.
Now you're playing catch up, right? So
that's like, right.
And it never looks good.
At that point, it's too late for them because then it just looks like they're just trying to tag along. But they were the first to highlight it. So that's the important thing.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about how we research. And if you want to see the video on YouTube or on our website, just go look. You'll see kind of what we did. I don't know how clear it was coming across the podcast itself, but so appreciate that, Tash. You participated in the show there and helped us make the show even better.
Get a copy of. I would recommend to all of our listeners to get a good example, and it's an old book. But Scientific Advertising by.
Is that Claude Hopkins?
Yeah. Claude Hopkins. Scientific Advertising by Claude Hopkins. You can Google it and probably download a free PDF of it. Or just get it on. It's like it's open. You know, the copyright's expired on it, so everybody's got a. You know, anybody can publish a copy of it now in print form on Amazon. So you probably get a copy of it, a physical copy of it, for about $5. And just order it on Amazon. But it's worth it. It's a great. If you read it, it talks about the whole process of how he, his the story of Schlitz, Schlitz beer, which is incredible. Or you can just Google that story.
But, well, it's it's there's a lot of good stories in there. And I was talking to some of these e-com guys, and I was telling them, I was posting in one of the groups I'm in that a lot of e-com people are starting e-com businesses or have them. Yeah. And I was sharing some of these ideas about copy, and they're like, yeah, but does that work for products?
Right.
I'm like, well, actually, now that I think about it, all the old school Claude Hopkins, David Ogilvy, Eugene Schwartz, they all sold, well, not all of them, most of them sold physical products.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And this has been adapted to the information market, but actually a lot of the copywriting principles started with physical products.
Yep.
So yes, it absolutely works with physical products.
For sure.
And that's actually where it started in the 20s with Chicago and Madison Avenue and different places.
Right.
So yeah, it's good stuff. All right. We've been we burned through that hour. So.
Pretty fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, good show. And Tesh, thanks for your comments. We appreciate the obviously the interaction and some of the feedback from you. To all of our listeners, we hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's the day before. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy the holidays with family. And Sean will be back on the air next week. Regular schedule on a Friday.
Yep.
We kind of knock this one out on a Wednesday because we got stuff going over the weekend or Friday. So next week we'll be back on the show next Friday. And I think actually we have a guest. I know you had mentioned a guest. I have a guest that is going to be joining us next Friday.
Okay. Yeah,
so
we need
we'll
to
probably
look at the calendars and see when we can slot my guest in. But
may do back-to-back episodes next Friday. But yeah, Sean, I'll send you a link to that because she just confirmed a couple of days ago, and I think it's
we'll tease it. What's it going to be about?
It's a book author, and I'm sorry, I can't remember what it is. I just have to send you over the link.
It looked really smart person's going to be on with us. And that's right. They're going to drop some knowledge that you do not want to miss.
Some very important knowledge. Yeah. And trust us, because we don't have guests very often. So
yeah. Yep. So cool. I'm excited to see. Now I'm excited about who that's going to be. I don't even know. It's awesome. So,
but you got to check us out, persuasionbythepint.com. And by the way, we are moving ever so quickly to that 300th episode. So this is episode 285. We got about 15 left. I don't know. We may time this just right. If we have a couple of episodes next week and we kind of stack some on Fridays for the next few weeks, I think we might be able to hit that end of the year 300th episode. At that point, that'll be kind of a pretty big event there to get some folks on.
Yeah. So I was, this will have to be our cover art for the 300th episode.
Love it. We will use that for sure. 300.
Actually, I'm going to get AI to make us a photo. So it'll be you and me.
Perfect.
Have you seen these AI generating?
I have. My brother-in-law sends them to me all the time.
They are amazing. Yeah.
With the face, it's like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. He'll replace a face like a famous person's face, and it's almost identical. Like if you look similar to somebody like that's famous, and it's amazing what you can do.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've seen people throw this one guy I know, he said he uploaded his picture and he said, make this look like a wizard, and it put him with a long beard and long hair and a hat.
Crazy.
But it was his face. I was like, man, this is amazing how far this AI's come.
It is.
We should get the Jasper guys on.
Oh yeah.
If we can't get, I mean, I know that I've got a friend who's brother-in-law with the founder of Jasper. So maybe we could get him on. If not, we could probably get Darby on from author underground, AI author or something like that. I'm going to start playing a little bit more with it.
Yeah.
Because it keeps growing. And they're saying that the next generation of AI is coming out like December, January, GPT-4, which is the next level up.
You're going to be replaced one of these days, Sean.
Yeah, it's not going to be long. Yeah, it's not going to be long. I'm fine with that. I'll find something to do. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that might be a while. We'll give it
I don't know. You never know. Never know.
Never know. Well, to all of our listeners, you can find us at persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on all of your streaming or podcast platforms, Stitcher Radio, iHeart, Spotify. You can find us on obviously YouTube, Twitter, you name it. We're even on Twitch now. So just look us up. You can find us, and look forward to doing a show next week, having a guest on. Sean, have a great Thanksgiving to all of our listeners. Enjoy the holiday.
See ya.
Thanks. All right. A little comment there at the end there.